The landscape of NIL and transfer portal has changed college basketball more than any other sport. When you look at college basketball, blue bloods are changing quickly. Kentucky basketball only has 3 incoming freshmen in the top 100. Two of those players are from Lexington, Kentucky itself. They recruited kids who went to high school right around the corner, and the other kid is the 82nd recruit in the country who typically may not have gotten an offer from Kentucky. Then you look at a Kansas. Kansas has one player in the entire ESPN top 100 committed to their school. Generally speaking, Kansas would be getting 3, 4, 5 incoming freshmen. College basketball is changing quickly, and blue bloods are one of the things that you're seeing change most. College kids are going to all kinds of different schools now because different schools have the money to offer to these kids. Hey, if you come here, if you want to come to Iowa State, we'll give you $10 million, $5 million, $2 million, whatever it is, right? And so all of these other individual schools are able to collect some of this money together and to be able to go out and get a top player for their school, as opposed to all of the top players going to one school itself. So NIL has completely changed the entire landscape of college basketball, blue bloods, teams, recruiting, portal players, the whole lot. Arch Manning has virtually no chance to succeed at Texas, and it's because of the expectation being put on him. People think that Arch Manning is the typical Manning quarterback. That's not who he is. Arch Manning's father was the only Manning in the entire family who never played football above high school level. That's whose genes Arch Manning has. Arch Manning also, the first 2 years of his college career, rode the bench behind a 7th round draft pick quarterback because Arch wasn't ready. Arch Manning, both Peyton and Eli Manning started in college as freshmen. So the difference between them and Arch Manning is obviously clear. They're not of the same ilk, they're not of the same caliber. Peyton and Eli have clearly been better quarterbacks than Arch Manning ever was from the very beginning, even as a high school prospect. So to put the expectation on Arch Manning that he's going to be able to lead Texas to a championship this year is unfair to Arch Manning. That's not what he signed up for. That's not who he is, and unfortunately that's who Arch Manning never has been. Arch Manning never has been that person. So, Texas fans, settle your expectations. Be patient. Arch Manning is going to be a 2 year quarterback and he might have to transfer out of the university. When you look at NBA potential, Darren Peterson is levels ahead of AJ Dybantsa. Darren Peterson went to a prep academy for high school where he has been getting ready to play professional ball the entire time. He is a 6'6" bouncy guard with a dimensional game. He can score at all 3 levels, and even through the AAU circuit, people have said Darren Peterson is levels above AJ Dybantsa. The only reason AJ Dybantsa gets the hype that he does is because right now he's more physically developed than other college kids, and AJ Dybantsa is better at marketing himself through media. But when all of that stops and you just have to line up your shoes and get on the basketball court, Darren Peterson is the star of this upcoming 2025 high school basketball class. He is the one to watch out for, and that's why Darren Peterson is going to Kansas and AJ Dybantsa is going to BYU. Darren Peterson feels more comfortable playing around great players because he knows that's going to prepare him for the NBA level. AJ Dybantsa is focused on the spotlight that he's going to get at Kansas, or focused on the spotlight that he's going to be at BYU because BYU is paying him the most money, which is what AJ Dybantsa is focused on and prioritizing. And BYU is going to give him the ball whenever he wants because he is the only good player on their team. That's the difference between the two mindsets of Darren Peterson and AJ Dybantsa. Through 4 NBA games, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has 36 free throws and Tyrese Halliburton has 4. There is a reason that this is the lowest viewed NBA finals since the bubble. The product of basketball that is being watched is awfully terrible. Like, legitimately, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is making the basketball game not fun to watch. Not because of him, but when he flops, the refs are giving him the call every single time. So why as a fan do you expect me to continue to turn in and watch this game when you're obviously forcing a narrative for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I'm not even talking about that motherfucker anymore. James Wiseman needs to be talked about as the biggest NBA bust of all time. James Wiseman was drafted number 3, either number 2 or number 3 overall to the Golden State Warriors over LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Halliburton, and a handful of other players. Meanwhile, James Wiseman has never, ever, ever, ever played meaningful minutes in the NBA. When he was on the Warriors, he was hurt, rehabbing, and or in the G League the entire time. He got minutes in spurts, and when he did, he didn't block shots, he didn't rebound, and he couldn't score. James Wiseman was never able to develop his game outside of literally dunking the basketball. And once again, being 7 foot and dunking the basketball is not a skill. To be in the NBA, you have to develop other skills and expand your game, and James Wiseman was incapable of doing that. James Wiseman makes Greg Oden look like LeBron James when you compare their NBA careers. James Wiseman has done zero productively his entire career. The only other person who might outbust James Wiseman is Anthony Bennett. But between those two, those are the two biggest busts in NBA history. The worst part about what the Bengals are doing with Trey Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart is the fact that the Bengals have actually invested in the defensive end position historically. The Bengals have always loved to have a great defensive end from the days of Carlos Dunlap. Fuck that. The worst part about what Oh my god. The worst part about what the Bengals are doing with Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson is the fact that the Bengals have invested in defensive ends over the last 3 years, and we don't have a single one of them who we know is going to be able to play for us this season. And the Bengals don't have a single one of them that they know is going to be able to play for them this season. Trey Hendrickson is holding out of camp, refusing to play until he gets a new contract. Shamar Stewart, the Bengals' first round draft pick of this year, is holding out and refusing to play until they sign him to a rookie contract that actually makes sense. Miles Murphy, the first round draft pick of the Bengals from 3 years ago, has not been capable of playing any football throughout his entire career. First round draft pick. And then the Bengals have Joseph Osai, who's coming off of injury. This will be his first year back. We're not sure that he's going to be ready to give us productive minutes. So the Bengals are struggling in a numerous amount of areas where they should have the Bengals should have one of the strongest defensive end lines. The Bengals should have one of the strongest defensive lines in the entire NFL. Just based off of the guys on their roster, they should be able to put out the 4 strongest defensive linemen in the entire league. Meanwhile, they're incapable of doing that because they can't develop their players, one, and they can't manage them by giving them contracts and or paying them on time to get them to show up financially. So the Bengals are struggling to get their talent to show up and struggling to develop their talent, and that is what makes the Bengals defense so horrible. If the Bengals defensive ends show up this year, the Bengals will be a Super Bowl team. If those guys don't show up to play at all, the Bengals will have the first round of pick of the NFL draft next year, in which they'll probably invest in another defensive end that doesn't pan out. Any franchise willing to invest in Kevin Durant is living in the past. Kevin Durant has had a miserable career on every single level ever since he left the Golden State Warriors. He has had no success. He is not a team player. He's not a defender. He's not a rebounder. Those are all things that you can say equally. The only thing that you can say about Kevin Durant, oh, he's a bucket. He's a scorer. He's an efficient scorer, maybe at best. Not a passer, not a defender, not a rebounder, not a team player. The things that Kevin Durant brings to a ball club at this point of his career are more detrimental to that team than they are helpful. When Kevin Durant comes to an NBA team at this point of his career, he brings in a hefty contract that you have to pay and take up spots on your team. He brings in expectations that your team may not be able and or ready to fill. He brings in a mentality that he is the best player and the team aspect doesn't matter, and then he's not going to play defense. Kevin Durant is a detriment to an NBA team at this point of his career. Unless you're going to build the entire team around Kevin Durant from scratch, you have no chance of winning. You can't plug Kevin Durant in with a system that's already running and expect to win an NBA championship. Those days are behind him, and frankly, the only time that ever worked for Kevin Durant was with the Golden State Warriors. There's no way that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can be the NBA Finals MVP. He doesn't do anything for the Oklahoma City Thunder except score the basketball at not an efficient rate. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 35 points with 0 assists and 3 rebounds. He did nothing to contribute to the team other than score. But guess what? He scored 35 points on 24 shots. It took him 24 shots to score 35 points. He was 1 for 4 from three-point range, meaning that every bucket he scored was a mid-range and or a dunk or a layup. That's not impressive. Going 12 for 24 all from mid-range is low efficiency scoring. That's the reason that people started shooting the three-point shot. So scoring at a low efficiency, shooting the ball a lot, not playing defense, not rebounding, and not passing the ball to your teammates. I don't know what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is actually doing for the Oklahoma City Thunder. You could put any high scorer, any capable sca- any capable scorer in the NBA can play Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's role on the Oklahoma City Thunder. He is the most replaceable player in the entire league. Devin Booker could take his spot. KD could take his spot. Anybody who can score at a high clip can take his spot because he's not asked and or expected to do anything else on the team. He's not asked to rebound the ball. He's not asked to pass for assists. He's not asked to play defense. So his role on the Oklahoma City Thunder is the easiest thing in the world. Oh, coach, all I have to do is show up and shoot a bunch? That sounds like a dream lifestyle. You can't give Shai Gilgeous-Alexander the NBA Finals MVP for having an easy role on the team. I think that's unfair to the other guys who are actually who are actually doing everything that you need in order to win a chip. James Wiseman is the second biggest bust in NBA history, and he's about to win his second NBA Finals ring. James Wiseman is going to be a two-time NBA championship, one with the Golden State Warriors, and now James Wiseman is on the Indiana Pacers, who look like they have a good opportunity to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, winning it all. His career has been insane. He was the number one recruit out of high school. He went to Memphis. He didn't have a lot of success under Penny Hardaway. He was hurt some. He goes to the Golden State Warriors, drafted purely off potential at number 2 overall. He doesn't play. He experiences more injuries. He's in the G League. He never got it together. Golden State trades him away. He spends some time in Detroit. Now James Wiseman is on the Indiana Pacers, about to win his second NBA championship. When you talk about a hell of a career, he has played no productive basketball, but he's been in winning positions. So I don't know what that means for his career. I don't know what that means about the longevity of his career, but it's insane to see him in this position.